email from her. She just sent to the group that she.
I lost you. Vito, I lost Hamilton.
Not my fault.
So we all lost Hamilton. Come back, Hamilton.
Yeah, I think they have some Wi-Fi issues in their apartment.
So I guess we can just, Mia, you're there. So I guess we could just say that we'll have details about the spring fundraiser at our next meeting. I think that's, if Sumi's not going to be here, I guess that's the best we can say.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Tiffany
Well,
wants
we are
to
still
speak.
going to vote, right? To vote
Sure.
on the budget.
Oh, whatever you need to do, vote on the budget. I missed the end of last meeting. We're voting on a budget.
Yeah, Vito, you know that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Vito, can you make me co-host? Because I changed the computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem. There's something.
Please don't let anybody in unless, there's Hamilton, unless they have a full name. If I kick them out, because they have not, like the iPhone person, hello, iPhone person. If you don't rename yourself, I'm gonna have to put you in the waiting room.
Hey, Hamilton. Quick question for you about the fundraiser. Do we even mention it tonight, or do we just go quiet?
Well, what I thought I would do in the opening remarks, Kim, and I'm sorry, I kind of got kicked out there or did something to myself. What I thought I would do is just mention that we're, sort of trenching and diving into it in a big way. There'll be more on Tech Talk. There'll be more at the March meeting.
Great.
Mention the date again and leave it at that, because, until we have a kind of, better sense of who's doing what, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to. And we have we have plenty of other stuff on our agenda.
Absolutely. And we really don't have, Patricia asked me to mention the annual appeal. But as far as, we can just thank everybody for coming to the Lunar New Year. I don't know if Sharon is coming tonight or not, and say, look for information on our book club coming forward. We have 2 seconds.
Great. Did we resolve the whole direct appeal thing? Because I know Patricia had flagged it as we were behind budget. And when we were talking about the budget earlier in the week, Ellen mentioned that she feels we're sort of on track we're like $47,000 under our year-end goal. So
we sent it out 2 months early. 2 months later. I mean, that's bound to happen.
Okay.
And we can continue to work. I've got some people that want to try and generate that behind the scenes quietly and get that done. But it's purely because we missed that window.
Yes.
And it's okay. We'll make it up.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm just going to mute because I have a panting dog.
I should go off screen because I'm drinking wine, but anyway.
Can you hear me, Vito?
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Hamilton. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Fine, thanks. I just want to double check. I can't see myself on the screen. Had I update my name up here?
You're still MC, but
I cannot see myself. That's interesting.
Vito, can you help Michelle change her name?
Please, thank you.
It's Michelle. It's Cheung. Is that right, Michelle?
Perfect. You're great, Kim.
What is she showing as?
MC with the brown square with an M.
I see it.
I can't see myself. I try to look for me and then
Michael?
ELLE.
Michelle. Last name, spell please.
CHEUNG.
Perfect. Thank you, Kim.
Sure. And maybe we'll see you soon.
Somehow I can't find myself. Just don't want to get kicked out.
Should we give it another minute or two?
Yeah, you give it to 6:04.
Okay. I hope Treasurer Goldstein is going to be joining us.
I think I see her, yes.
Good. You're on. Okay. Thank you, Treasurer Goldstein.
Hi,
I was on with Tom, so I
Yeah,
couldn't
that's right.
jump.
Okay. We're grateful that you joined us, Treasurer Goals.
When
How is-
your boss calls, you got to talk to him, you know?
Guys, how is the college thing? We are walking on eggshells around Dylan because he's
Oh my
It's
God, the
horrible.
moodiness, the moodiness. The
It's horrible.
moodiness.
it's horrible. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I can't say anything right or do anything right. It's all,
Yeah.
you know. And I feel for him. I feel we've all been there, but it's
We all do, but yes, we're still.
No fun when you're going through it.
No, it's horrible. And if it's like when they get rejected from something, it just breaks your heart.
and it's so much more stressful than it was in our day. Like I never stressed this much.
No. No, it's very hard for me to relate. Well, plus I'm damn old, so that's all.
Yeah. I mean, I was in a state that had a state system. I applied to the state system. That was it. One application, you know, there was none of this.
Well, at least he's got SUNY Albany, so God forbid.
Yep. We got two
with my
SUNY.
sister, but and living with my sister, I feel like I'd have to give him $10,000 just to do that. So
They're going to college. That's all you say. They're going to college. Oh, I should change my background so it doesn't look like Times Square, right?
yeah, it looks like you're having fun.
I'll just choose virtual background and I'll just blur it.
And I'll let you know as soon as I hear from the last raffle winner. Some people don't check those emails, so I'll probably text
Yeah, no
them.
problem. No problem. Today was crazy, but tomorrow I will have.
It doesn't matter whenever, they don't care. As long as I responded to them and said it's going to be coming.
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's coming. And Shani, I'm going to pay your invoice tomorrow too. Tomorrow's check writing day. Today I had a board meeting and things were crazy, but tomorrow I can do tech stuff.
Listen,
No worries.
Yeah, the vacation's coming. We need that check.
Yeah,
were
no
so
worries. I was like, I had sent out these invoices or the purchase orders, and I'm like, oh my God, we're closed next week. So I'm like writing
Yeah,
them
yeah.
back, like, don't ship anything, don't ship anything.
Oh God, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm
Okay.
actually on vacation. I'm taking next week off, so I'll have lots of check writing time to deal with all of this.
Yay.
Okay, so it's 6:05. I'm thinking we should probably call
People
to
in.
order. And I think we're going to do, okay, first of all, we're going to call to order. Do I get a second? Okay. And I know the minutes from last month's meeting have circulated. Shall we waive a formal reading of it? I propose that we do waive the formal reading. Thank you. Mia, do you have anything you want to start off with? I've got a few announcements, but I would let you. lead.
I think you go first.
Okay.
Yeah, after you.
Okay, just a couple of things. First of all, I wanted to thank a huge thank you once again to our Lunar New Year team. Kim and Sharon just pulled off the most amazing event I've ever personally been to. All the different pieces just fell into place. It was jam-packed. It was loud. It was fun. There was a conga line. There was lots of absolutely stellar food. Anyway, it was a really, really, really great evening. And thanks to that committee, and particularly to Kim and Sharon for just extraordinary work. So some of that actually, that infrastructure was, we're coming in a little bit higher on our projected budget than we had revenue than we expected. So that's great. Some of that infrastructure will also be carrying over to our spring gala event on May 9th. We're kind of digging into that right now and have a Zoom meeting scheduled for next week over the break. So we'll have more to report at our March meeting, and also check your tech talk as well. There are just two quick things I wanted to mention, and then I'll turn this over. We want to hear from Shani about the teacher's gifts, and then I'll turn it over to Mia. But I just wanted to mention that I was on the safety committee Zoom this morning. There was an emergency meeting between school leadership teams and the mayor and the chancellor following, I think it was 2 or 3 shootings, none of them inside schools, but sort of near schools. So Tech has been practicing sort of informally a partnership with the local precinct near the school. And Miss Iacano has, she said like 6 police officers' cell phones on her speed dial. But they've been meeting kind of monthly, sort of informally, as a kind of partnership. The mayor and the chancellor proposed partnership going forward. And so what Tech is doing is going to a weekly meeting just to kind of, the results of some of our surveys on the safety committee show a very, very high level of comfort with Tech's security measures from the students and from families. So that's all very, very good. Teachers as well. We have a monthly safety meeting, so I'll have more to report next time around as well. And I also wanted to mention the Fair School funding issue. The mayor and chancellor released their proposal, which I guess will go to the PEP. Ellen, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, for a vote, but they are PEP. Thank you. They have recommended increasing the weights for IEP students as well as students who are transitioning to permanent housing. They've made it very clear, the administration's been very clear, they are not going to be following the recommendation to take some of the funding for the portfolio schools, which is already the lowest in the school system, and sort of spreading it around. So we as a consortium of specialized high schools and some of the other portfolio schools like Townsend Harris are sending a letter of thank you, and sort of we'll be following up directly with the chancellor on that. So I just wanted to report back to you on that. I've got a tomorrow, in fact, and Mia, if you could
Yes.
join, let me know. Great. We're having a noon Zoom with the other presidents of the specialized high school PAs, and I think Townsend Harrison may be another portfolio school. So that's all kind of going to happen right here, in the deadline right before the break. So so that's kind of it. I wanted to let Shani also report on the teachers' gifts, and then Mia can take over.
You ready?
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. Just to kind of follow up on the teacher's wish list, we have been ordering like crazy. We are almost at the end of the list. There are teachers who have received instruments, class books, laboratory equipment, shop equipment, sports equipment. It's been an amazing, wish list drive. I just want to thank all of the parents for your generous donations to make this happen. I can't tell you how excited and how happy the teachers are about being able to get these things once a year. So everything that you do donate, it does matter. And it's been really, just an amazing experience to do this for all of the teachers and the staff. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I just wanted to also once again express in addition to my awe for Kim and Sharon and their committee, I am in awe of what all Shani has done on this wonderful, because it's a lot of work, and she's done it for at least the second year, absolutely brilliantly. And we're incredibly grateful. I know the teachers are grateful as well. Mia, did you have anything you wanted to?
Yes. So we add one event, the breakfast with the principal on March 8th. So we sent out the form this morning with the notice of this meeting. So please check in and sign up if you want to have a breakfast with the principal. And we will see how the event goes, and then to decide if we want to add more events or not. So second, PA will host an event, the online workshop named Strategies for Writing the College Application Essay. It's on March 11th, Saturday, at 11 to 12:30. So we also send the sign-up form on the Tech Talk on Sunday. So please check the Tech Talk and then sign up if you want to attend this workshop. Yeah, that's it.
Great, terrific. We're now going to hear from Treasurer Goldstein with her report. And then at the end of the report, I'm going to mention something that we're planning to add to our budget. We're going to create a line for the study abroad program, which I'll talk a little bit about at the end. And then we have to present it to the group per our bylaws for a membership-wide vote. And then after that, we should be hearing from Principal Newman very briefly, and then from our special guest, Ms. Cuesta, who's going to go over some of the college application process. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions for her. So over to you, Treasurer Goldstein.
Good evening, everybody. Before I share this month's treasurer's report, I just wanted to give a little report out on how we've been doing with fundraising, since we have just gone through our big fundraising season of annual fund and Lunar New Year. So I'm really happy to report, and I can't say enough wonderful things about the committee that worked on Lunar New Year, particularly Kim and Sharon. We budget to break even on this event so that it'll just be a wonderful event. But in actuality, we made almost $16,000 net positive on.
And that's probably going to go up even a little bit, right?
Yeah. Oh, right. I should mention this is as of when I ran the numbers on February 9th. And I know that I made a deposit after February 9th. So that number is probably going to go up. And that's just fabulous, because it was such a fabulous event. People had a wonderful time, and we made almost $16,000, which is really terrific. The annual fund, I want to thank every parent who's made a contribution. We have brought in $186,000. We always back out the credit card fees associated with that. So we net out $182,000 so far. Our goal for the year is about $210,000 to $215,000. So we're doing quite well. But of course, I will always encourage everyone to continue to contribute to the annual fund. I think you're going to hear a little bit more about the upcoming plans for the spring gala. We budget about $20,000 in revenue for that gala, minus $10,000 in expenses. So we like to net out about $10,000 for that event. So I'll let other people talk about it, since that hasn't happened yet. Now let me, I'm host disabled participant screen sharing. So that's okay. I don't necessarily have to.
Ellen, no worries. Give me a sec.
Okay, no worries, no worries.
I just gotta find you. Try now.
Okay. Oh no, recording stopped.
Oh, who did that?
Treasurer's report. This looks good. Hopefully we get the right thing and not some work thing. Okay, so now
Stand by, please. That's why I don't make anyone co-host. Someone hit the recording button.
Oh, that's what that was. Okay. Well, whatever. I don't care.
Not me.
I don't care if this is recorded. So this is the January treasurer's report. And we're doing quite well in terms of revenues, as I just mentioned. We, as a PA board, some of these lines that are highlighted, we've been taking a look at the budget and seeing where we have and have not spent money so far. And this is just a little bit of a preview. We're starting to think about what are the key things we want to make sure we do before the end of this year, and what are the key things we want to put into next year's budget. So college support was definitely one of the key areas that we want to dedicate funding to, both for the rest of this year and also to think about in our budget for next year. Obviously, Hamilton and I won't be, but we will be. We won't be around next year. We'll be involved in putting the budget together. So that was an area that people were really interested in. We're also going to try to find a little more support for clubs and teams. That's a priority for us. Some of that we'll actually be able to do this year, and then we'll build some infrastructure in for next year. But the plan is to make up a list, sit down with Mr. Newman, see what the priorities are for the rest of the year, and then start thinking about next year's budget. Right now, we have $366,000 in our checking account, $150,000 in savings. So we're pretty positive on cash. And we'll probably have more to say at the next meeting about how exactly we're going to be spending between now and the end of the year, but we are doing quite well. So that sort of concludes my report, and I am, oops, did I stop screen sharing? And I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any budget questions or spending or treasurer's issues in general. Lisa?
So with the annual appeal that we do, that we have, we get 40% of the people, 40% donations from 40% of the student body, which is a huge amount of numbers. But you could give $5. It could be anything. You could give $1 for all you know. Where do we stand on that? Do you have any idea what our percentage is?
You mean in terms of how many families have given money? What percentage? I don't have that.
Okay. That's
I mean,
a question.
try to figure it out. We would have to sort of, Lee and I kind of divide up. I deal with all the people who pay by check, and she deals with all the people who pay online. So we'd have to just figure out discreetly how many families that represents.
Well, so how do we do the tabulation to find out if we get it or not?
What do you mean? How do we, the tabulation of how we get it or not?
Well, there's a $20,000 grant that we get if we have 40% participation, but how do we know if we have 40% participation if you guys aren't doing it? Like,
have
Yeah,
no
don't worry about that part. Patricia know how to, she knows that. Yeah.
okay, she's not here tonight.
No,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
not here. And that, Lisa, that's a good segue because she asked me to mention, and I did put in the link into the chat for the family, the annual appeal, because in addition to what we're asking you to donate, because of your donations, it opens up other avenues for us to get money. And one is, as Lisa said, if we hit a certain criteria, a certain percentage of parents, and as she said, it doesn't have to be 600, it could be $5. They want to see how many parents are donating. And if we hit that number, we get $20,000. In addition, there's other places that we don't talk about. There are additional grants that we get that companies look at to see, what our parents are donating, and they match that. So again, it is brooklyntechpa.org/donate. It's in the chat. Please consider giving. What we understand, everybody can't give 600, but whatever you can, your number, sometimes it's multiplied by you giving something. We get it from several other people as well. So please consider donating. Thank you. And thanks, Lisa. That was perfect segue. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was not a setup. We just did it organically.
Also, I just, Ken Ho was asking, how much does the Spring Gala bring in historically? This is before my time. I only know what's budgeted and projected for this year. Does anyone have an answer to that question? What have we made?
I don't, because I was not involved in that. I mean, if you ask that question again next month, I'll be happy to talk to some of the old PA presidents and get that information. We kind of focus on the committee that we're dealing with, but I can get that information for the next meeting for sure.
And then somebody asked,
Yeah, Ellen, I have there's a question from Laurie. She asks, like, do you send statements to parents with the
No.
total donations for tax purposes?
no, we send receipts for each donation. And that you should have received. And particularly if you donate online, you get a receipt right away. I will just use this as an opportunity to emphasize, if you give a donation, please provide your email. It makes it significantly easier for us to give you an instant receipt if we have your email. If we do not have your email, it is much more difficult. So no, we don't send tax statements. We only send receipts per donation. Any
Okay, are there any
other
questions for Ellen?
Doesn't look, I don't see anything in the chat,
Okay.
but I'll be on. If anyone has other questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat.
Okay. Felix is saying you can also set up monthly recurring donations as
Yes.
well.
Yes, you can through the EAT system.
Which is great. Thank you, Felix. Thank you for
The reminder,
I forgot.
yes.
Thank you.
And thank you, Lisa, for telling me about, I didn't know about the grant and the participation.
Or did I?
Yeah,
Maybe
Patricia,
that's what the grants line in the budget is.
Patricia Cord, she's been able to do that for the last few years.
That's
And
fabulous.
you just have to hit a certain number, and then there's a corporation that sees that and they donate the additional funds. So as we said, you know, it's not just your donation. You help us get donations from other companies. So thank you.
Thank you. That's why I show up to the PA meetings, is I get to learn things. And I do want to also do a shout out to Ellen. She's done an amazing, amazing job with our budget and with, you know, cleaning up a lot of, you know, dust bunnies in the corners and that sort of thing. I can personally attest to this. So one thing I wanted to mention in terms of the budget was, as we've mentioned in Tech Talk, we are planning to add a budget line tonight for $25,000 for our study abroad program. This is done through a nonprofit. I think they're based in Chicago. They work with a lot of schools all over the country. They're now working with Stuyvesant. Brooklyn Tech, I think, was the only one was the only one in the area. Now they're working with Stuyvesant. CIEE, I just got an email before we jumped on the Zoom from Matt, who says that they have approved 25 need-based applicants from Brooklyn Tech to participate in this study abroad program. The grants range everywhere from 10% to 100% funding, depending again on need. He said that if I also heard from Ms. Santiago, and I think we have a total number, including our March pod of applicants. There was an extension of the date. We have a total number of 165 applicants. The application process is vigorous. It requires letters of recommendation. It requires a essay. It's amazing. 90% of the kids who do go or awarded a grant go to live, I think it's usually in July. It's during the summer. They go and live with a host family in a particular city, mostly European, but we're looking at other countries as well. They get a full-on language immersion experience. They take classes and they do a lot of sort of, you know, visiting, I don't know, the Duomo in Florence, if you're doing the Italian program. 10% of our students who go through this program do non-language based, non-cultural immersion projects. And we had a kid last year who went to, I think, a Chilean and Argentinian, somewhere close to, very close to Antarctica, I think, where he was working on a large biology project looking at the impact of climate change in that particular environment. And he was very high on it. So what Matt has said, again, 25 students out of our applicant pool of about 165 have been approved. An additional 7 are going on smaller merit-based grants. If we can increase our contribution to $25,000, which will be matched by the Alumni Foundation for a total of $50,000, the anonymous donor will then co-match that $50,000. And according to Matt, we could probably fund up to about 55 to 65 applicants. This was all done in a very quick email just before I jumped on. So I feel very strongly that knowing multiple languages is a great thing. It's one of the great tragedies of my life is that I never got past the high school Spanish thing. And it's a really wonderful opportunity for our student population, something we take very seriously. So I would like to recommend, given that our budget looks pretty good. We didn't spend a whole lot as a PA during COVID, so that's why we're in a very good shape. I propose that we create a budget line for $25,000 to cover these CIEE costs. And I would like to do a vote here by general assent. Vito, would we do that through the?
So are you making a motion to
I am
approve
making a motion.
$25,000 as separate budget line?
Yes.
I'm
And-
seconding that motion.
Okay.
So all approved would just say yes?
Yes.
Disapproved?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Does
Yes.
anybody object?
Does anyone object?
approved.
Anyone object? Any objections? Please let us know.
Any objecting? Put it in the chat, raise your hand, something.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I vote no. Just because I think it could be spent for people.
I'm sorry, Michael, are you saying you object?
Yeah, just voting for the record. No.
No, so if we, Michael, that's fine. If you object, we have to do a poll and we have to take a full vote.
A formal vote that would be majority. Right, it would be majority for passing, right?
Correct.
Right.
Can you set that up now?
I can, it'll take me a few minutes. Michael, do you want to object?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, so then, why don't you go on with the meeting? I'll let you know when the poll is open.
Okay, great. I appreciate that, Michael. And I want to know, is Principal Newman with us? He was going to jump on just before our special guest, Assistant Principal Cuesta, was going to give her presentation on college search. But I guess he's not on. I know he wanted to go ahead of Ms. Cuesta, so.
Well, he can have it, Mr. Newman, shout out. I saw that Sharon May is here, who's my co-VP with the Lunar New
great.
Year. And we just wanted to thank everybody that attended. This is the biggest turnout we've ever had. It's probably the most money that we've ever raised. And Sharon put together a committee that I can't tell you what hardworking, wonderful people they were. And I have to say, my name gets mentioned and I did so little. These people worked from the first day we picked a date, and they are wonderful. And it was so much fun. And we hope to do it again next year. And if you didn't attend, please consider coming next year. It was a great event. And thank you, Sharon, for putting together such an amazing team.
You're welcome, Kim. That's my pleasure. This is our first year, so we did not have experience. So I'm glad to see it turn out great. And thank you for everybody, whoever purchased tickets and make the donations, sponsors, volunteers, and performers. Thank you, everyone. So we are going to have a gala, spring gala next. So we hope to see everybody to give us the same support. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to mention one quick other thing about the CIEE funding that we're going to be voting on. One of the reasons why we're looking at creating an additional budget line as opposed to reallocating from other budget lines is that this presumably will continue on this program. It is something that we participated in the past. We've only been able to send about 6 or 8 kids. It is something that Stuyvesant got a little jealous of tech, and so that's why they reached out to CIE in partnering, and I believe they actually have a larger budget at this point. But it is something that we'd like to increase, and the funding is there. So I just wanted I forgot to mention that earlier. So is David with us or no?
Hamilton,
Yeah.
real quick, where will this 25,000 move out of?
I think we're increasing it. I don't think we're reallocating it.
So where's it coming from then? Maybe Ellen?
Is it a new budget line?
It's a new budget line, yes. But
It's
is
a
there,
new
so
budget-
there's no thing that we're moving it from one place to another.
I thought that was the decision that was made at the PA board.
That's
meeting.
correct. I'm just making sure.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. I'm messing up here. Yes. But I couldn't tell you which lines.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, we have to create it. We have to create a code
Yeah.
for it.
That's fine.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
And there are several budget lines that we have not spent against as yet. So the decision was this would not be an irresponsible thing to do.
All right. I guess Principal Newman is not with us. Do we want to go ahead and start, Ms. Cuesta? Do you want to come on and introduce yourself? And then we will have to interrupt you, unfortunately.
So usually I don't have the camera on because, as you can see, you really can't see a lot of my face. You can only see a little bit of my head, which is why I don't usually turn on the camera. But it is an honor for me to present to you. I do want to go over, is there any way that you can share the screen with me?
Ms. Cuesta needs you to share the screen.
Stand by, please.
Yeah, he's trying to do the poll, Ms. Cuesta. I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries. But in the meantime, so my name is Ms. Cuesta. We really do have 4 counselors in the college office, but one of them is.
I'm sorry, what's your first name so I can find you?
Oh, my name is Lourdes. The first name is Lourdes.
I apologize for not knowing that.
No, do not apologize. It is okay.
It's okay, Ms. Cuesta. He's just the dad. Yeah, that comes to me. Yeah.
More dad jokes, just what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I don't even see you there. What are you signed in as?
That's CUE.
I'm signed in as Lourdes Cuesta.
She signed in as
I
Lourdes.
found you. If you're not
We're able
familiar with
to-
Zoom, what happens is that sometimes you guys move. The right side moves, and that's what happens. So you should be good to go. I think did I make you co-host?
Okay, I
Yes.
don't.
Yes,
see
you did.
anything. Let me see if I can share.
You should be able to share.
I think so. Hold on. One. Okay. So I'll share. Let's see. Do I see my screen share? Do not. Oh, here we go. Yes. Okay. Okay. So I wanted to just show you a little bit of navigation because I know one of the common complaints or concerns or issues that go on in this school is that the school is a mammoth of a school, and somehow you go from place to place to place or person to person to person, and you don't really know who you should reach out to and how to navigate our systems. And I really apologize for that. We're trying to get better at that because it is an issue, right? So one of the first things that I wanted to show you, which is I also supervise advisory. So I try to show the kids, and that's something that we do not only in the freshman advisory, but we do it in the sophomore advisory, is letting them know the resources available to them. And one of the resources that are available to them is obviously the website, all right? So then when they go to the website, they'll go to the guidance and college office, and then you click college office 101. You scroll down and it kind of gives you, right, your overview of if you're a junior parent, if you're a junior student or if you're a senior student. It tells you what prefect you're in and who your counselor should be. Now, the division or the separation between your academic guidance counselor and your college guidance counselor is that you start to meet with your guidance, the college office guidance counselor junior year after the junior presentation. Now, usually the junior presentation is early February, but this year we did it early or mid-January because our Naviance representative actually was getting married in February. So kind of to make a long story short, I just want to make sure that everyone knows all the resources that are available on the website. Any event that we do, especially the junior info night, the sophomore information session, the freshman information session, the senior information session, they're on the website. And so, that way you can always go back to it, whether or not you actually attended. We always want people to attend, obviously, right? Because that's the moment in which you can ask like really pertinent questions. We do it calendar sensitive, so that, any questions that you need to know prior to getting into whatever the process is, you actually have had answered during the presentation. So this, as you can see, right? So it's my name, the secretary, and then the college counselors. It tells you the senior, and then it tells you the freshman, and we have 2 scholarship coordinators. So let me see which they're going to be doing a QuestBridge presentation February 9th. Okay, here you see it's displayed by grade, right? The pertinent information that you should know, and some links to different resources that are available to them. And so we try to be, right, as mindful as possible so that we're getting as much information just off the bat. Then really so that when they meet with the college counselor on a one-on-one or even a group, you're ready for your specific questions, right? The questions that are important to you and actually address the situation that you're going through, or whatever direction you're trying to go into with this process. We have been doing the freshman and sophomore college information sessions for the last 3 years now. I need your help, right? Because some of it is that some of you don't know about it, and then so people don't attend. And then they go, well, what are they doing for the freshmen and the sophomores? Or they don't attend the junior, and then they obviously have questions that could have been answered during this presentation, or even clicking on the link. So that's important, because we want to make sure that they're utilizing their time wisely when they're meeting for their one-on-ones with the college counselors. Another thing that I wanted to let everybody know, so the college counselors actually pushed into the junior US history classes in order to do on a smaller scale what they had already done on a larger scale during the junior college info session. So that this way now it's more personal. They're standing in front of students, they're going over some things in terms of the process, what they should be looking for, and it's also obviously an overview of what they did in the college information session evening. But you're having the one-on-one, and you should have more pertinent questions to you to ask. What was I going to, because I know there was a couple of things. So I know someone actually in the chat actually asked me something about when are the sophomores, and no one asked me about the freshmen. When are they going to get their Naviance codes? It's been a struggle. For whatever reason, Naviance this year was a little buggy. There have been a lot of glitches with the system, but I was able to have a session this Tuesday with our representative, and she was able to show me how to link the two things together. So you will probably, if not during the vacation, which I do not think so, but definitely when you get back, you will receive an email, just like your children will receive an email, basically letting them know what their code is to get onto Naviance. It isn't until you're a junior that you get a real account per se, but you do have access to the system junior and senior year. One of the things that I also would like assistance with is that we do a lot of information sessions. We do a letter writing session. We do a interview session. We have a lot of colleges that we invite, especially virtually, and we usually do anywhere between 4 and 6, sometimes even 8 in an evening, that those are well attended, just so that, representatives don't get discouraged. And as well as you're asking, it's just as important to ask the questions of maybe schools you're not as interested in as it is for the schools that you're interested in, because sometimes it prompts you to ask even better questions of the representatives of schools that the student is really interested in. So we try to do a lot of that prep so that they go into the process with the list that actually fits them as well as possible.
Ms. Cuesta?
Yes?
Hi, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, and this is poor timing, but we are ready to vote on that line. I don't mean to interrupt you.
You
This
could
is-
have let her finish, Hamilton.
Okay. All right, okay, so
Let her finish.
we'll come right back to you in just a second, or we hope it's just a moment or so. Vito, you want to guide us through this?
Okay, fine. No, this is fine. So I'm going to launch the poll. The question is create a budget line for CIEE and fund it with $25,000. A simple yes or no. I'm launching the poll right now.
Can I ask a question too? Shouldn't there be discussion on the motion before we vote on it?
It was already discussed, Michael.
I remember, but it wasn't discussed at this meeting.
Hamilton,
after the motion was made.
Hamilton, you want to describe one more time what it is before we
Yes.
vote?
Sure.
I heard the description already. I think,
So, Michael, what would you like? What is your objection to?
I think I wanted to just, I'll say this and then we can vote.
Okay.
That, you know, to my understanding, a lot of Brooklyn Tech students are immigrants or children of immigrants. And so they, you know, they're coming to this country because they want to be in this country and already are familiar with another country. And for example, I'm an immigrant myself, so you know, speak a second language. Don't need to go to another country to learn another language. And I think this benefits mostly probably children of upper middle class who don't you know, maybe don't have all the money that takes to live in for the summer, but can afford to pay for them to stay if, you know, if the airfare is paid for. So I would prefer if the money is spent for the poor kids who are not interested in you know, traveling spending the summer in another country. And I mean, I think it's great, of course. I'm all in favor of traveling to another country, but I was just concerned with
I understand.
And then also, I didn't see like I think you said something about like that there was commitments to match it, but I wasn't sure. I mean, it didn't seem like it was. I don't know. Was it in writing? It's guaranteed that they're going to do it. So,
okay, so let me just back up a couple of things. Every student testimonial I've heard, either from Brooklyn Tech students past and present, as well as students who have participated in the CIE study abroad programs around the country, schools around the country. This isn't a bunch of rich kids. These are kids that are often fully funded. It's based on need. Parents have to submit extensive financial, you know, paperwork as part of the application process. So the need-based grants go from 10% of the full cost to 100%. The email I got from Matt at CIE just before we logged on is that they have identified 25 students through the need-based program, and additionally 7 students who are taking smaller packages based on merit. If we are able to create this $25,000 for a program we've participated in, we will be matched by the Alumni Foundation for another $25,000. So that's $50,000 that in turn will be matched by our anonymous donor. So that would therefore allow, in my understanding, is up to 55, 65 students that would be able to participate. Again, and I can't emphasize this enough, this is need-based. This is not about, you know, a paid vacation for kids who can afford it. Now, if you're an immigrant kid who's not interested in, you know, going, then you don't apply. But we have a large applicant pool this year, 165 kids. And again, 25 identified as yeses, 7 for merit-based. We'd like to go to 60 plus if we can, but we cannot do it unless we create this budget item. So that's why it's up for a vote. Did I answer all your questions, Michael? Because I understand your concerns, but this is not merit-based. This is not a paid vacation. This is need-based exclusively, except for the merit ones.
all right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Hamilton. I'm going to make a motion now just to cover us. I make a motion to keep this poll open for 1 more minute and then tally up the results.
I second.
Thank you very much. So we're 5 minutes into it. We only have 64 people out of 108 voted. Please, if you're interested, please vote yes or no. Very simple. I'll give it until 6 minutes in, and then we'll tally the results.
Hamilton, we have Bridget Garland, with a hand up.
Yes.
How do I do the poll? I have no idea.
Oh, did it pop up? It should have popped up.
Wait a moment. Okay.
Thank you. I think
Got
this is
it.
the first. So yes, so this is new for everyone. Okay, it's 6 minutes in. I'm going to end the poll and launch the results.
Thank you, Vito.
Does everybody see the results?
Yes.
So 69 of 77, 90% voted yes. 8 of 77, 10% voted no. Thank you very much. The motion is approved.
Great. Thank you so much, Vito, for that. Again, I just want to emphasize over and over again, this is not for upper middle class kids to have a paid summer vacation. This is need-based. Financial reports are part of the application process. And the grants typically run from 10% of what's being requested. And those are the kids whose families can afford to cover the rest of the costs, to 100% who are quote unquote the poorer kids or the lower income kids. So I just want to be very, very clear on that. I guess we'll go back with having that measure having been approved.
Hamilton, if I may make a suggestion, if I may, sorry to jump in. I didn't
Yeah,
raise my
sure.
hand. But
Yeah.
if Michael, if you have some ideas for maybe summer projects that you would like to fund for our kids,
Yes.
maybe internships or something that you want to investigate, pursue, and relay to the board and advocate for, I mean, that's certainly something that we could do. If
I
you're
think that's
interested
an
in doing
absolutely
something like
terrific
that.
idea. Because I'd like to see as many of our kids covered to be able to do this sort of thing as possible. I want to go back to Ms. Questa. I didn't mean to interrupt her, but we did need to have that formal vote. Or I know your train of thought was interrupted, but can you pick up? Is Ms. Questa still with us?
Yes, we can't hear her.
Are you muted? I see the screen.
She's saying just a
You
minute.
might have stepped away because she's here.
No, she's there. She's just trying to figure out, I think, the audio.
Okay.
I see her. Hang in there, don't worry. We got you.
Is she ready to join?
She's having problem.
Let's see.
Ms. Quest, if you want to sign back out and sign back in, if you think that'll be more helpful, if your microphone disappeared. You want to do that? See, what happens sometimes is it gets glitchy and like the
Yeah, no, I
microphone
understand.
disappear. And
Right.
that's terrible.
Is David with us? Did he join us?
Yeah, I'm here, Hamilton.
Okay. So we had to interrupt Ms. Questa because we had to do a formal vote. Vito created the poll for our increased CIEE funding, which we've done. We're trying to, unfortunately, it was disruptive. We're trying to pick up the thread with her, but she's having some audio difficulties. Maybe now would be a good time for you to say anything you'd like to address the membership.
Sure. I don't know if I have anything in particular. I'm just trying to think of some things coming down the pike. First, I do want to point out on the maps. I know that no parents nor students have received the results of their the 9th grade and 10th grade maps assessment. We are going to give those out right after break. Without going into detail about it, it's surely not user-friendly, and it's taken us weeks and weeks to be able to print out paper versions of that data. Unfortunately, you can't see it electronically. So we are going to backpack right after the break, all students with their ELA math results on the MAPS assessment. That is just 9th and 10th grade. And then we are ramping up to do the third and final one later in May. Other things coming up, I'm trying to think. What else do I need to remind you about?
Have some breakfasts, I believe, or dinners or something.
I believe we're floating. So I already sent some dates to Mary. And I believe she sent the dates over. So we're just trying to get a yes on those. But yeah, that is good to go on some dates. I don't recall what they are right now. I think they're just breakfasts, not dinners. I think Mary thought that those would be maybe better attended. If we want to add some dinners, I could do that as well. I don't really leave school too often, so whenever you all want to do that. Major selection is coming up for 10th grade. The date is March. What is it? March. I should know this, right? It is. What is it? It's like
March 1st.
Thank you. I knew it. Wednesday, right? Thank you. Wednesday, March 1st, where we will have students after school for a couple hours get sort of meet with students and meet with teachers in all of the majors, have plenty of time to work around the building and see all 18 majors if they want to. We will also be a first time this year, as soon as the major selection fair is over on the 1st, we will not open up the portal. We're going to give it a few days for students who have any follow-up questions to send them in, and parents, if they have any questions, to send them in. We'll collate all the questions, and we're going to put out by major like a Q&A after a couple of days. And then after the Q&A goes out, about 24 hours later, we will open up the portal for students to pick their majors, and they'll get a week to do so. That's all really upcoming events. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Leslie Ann?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, so Sarah Jolini Raghupathi asks, do seniors need club credit to get tech diploma?
Oh,
a perennial question.
So, I will say that
Answer. You know the right answer. No,
I do. The answer is yes. Oh, Lourdes, you're on here twice. You're Wonder Woman down there and you're Real Woman up there. All right, and so also Wonder Woman. The yes, the answer is yes, but I will say that due to COVID, and this is going to work itself out, it hasn't been for the last couple of years, hasn't been unbelievably enforced because we had no clubs for a while. So there was no chance for you to actually get the number of club credits you actually need to graduate because of that. But yes, that is our standing thing. You need club credits, technically graduate. On the other hand, no one's not going to college because they didn't join a club. I mean, let's be honest about that. But there is a difference of Brooklyn Tech diploma versus New York City diploma and whatnot. So our diploma looks a lot cooler than theirs. But yeah, it is not going to prevent you from graduating. But as you know, I mean, I'm not saying COVID is in the rear view, but we have clubs on. Kids are expected to go to them. Yes.
Okay, so Rachel Haldanes asks, do all club and sports advisors have to be faculty? Our last girls track coach was not, but not successful coach in many ways either.
Wait, the track coach is on faculty.
The new one is, but the last one was not. So I heard that we lost the cheerleading because the teacher left or something like that. So there's been some confusion about how it's done.
Well, one, the stunt team, what you're talking about cheerleading, it's called stunt, is coming back. It's in the spring. It starts
good.
up right after break. We do have a new coach. And this also goes right back to you saying our new coach actually does not work at Brooklyn Tech, but is a DOE employee. All they do is have to be a DOE employee. And so they preferable that you work at Tech and not have to travel and whatnot. But
Right.
you know, we surely have a handful of coaches that do not work in Tech, but do work for the DOE. So are teachers at other schools.
Thank you.
Jamia Jasper asks, is there any type of shadow day for students to sit in on classes who are deciding between majors?
I mean, that sounds great. Logistically, I just think that's impossible. I mean, you're talking about 1,500 kids sitting in on classes. And so we can't really facilitate that. We don't have, I mean, honestly, there's 34 kids in most classes. We only have 34 desks. I mean, that would be a huge logistical issue for us. Yeah, so I don't know how to alleviate that, although it
I
sounds
was gonna
great.
say, not to interject, but I will say that the way Mr. Newman has mitigated that is that during advisory, there are a lot of students that have been pushing in from majors to talk about their majors and display and actually do videos. So we are, you know, you got to work with what you've got. So we've been able to do that, you know, with his support.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Not only does Ms. Cuesta run all of our college services, but also our advisory program as well. So she knows well about that, and what she's speaking of was actually her initiative. So thank you for giving me credit for it, but you should take all the credit for that.
Wonder Woman indeed.
Yeah.
Kelly,
Yeah.
you asks, when is the deadline to file CR credit for fall semester?
The end of the year, actually. So you get all the way up until the end of the following. Yeah, so last day of school.
Okay, I want to get through these quickly so that we can
Okay.
do this presentation. Amy Mack asks, I have heard there are some majors more popular, competitive than others. Are the majors determined by core subject grades or first come, first serve? Question you hear quite often, right?
I mean, neither, in the sense of it's not first come, first serve. They all, when I close it, and that's done. And you better make your selection by then. Matter of fact, the handful of kids that don't make their selection by then, after I close, I literally chase them down. They come to my office and they make their selection right there. So the goal is to get most of kids their first choice. When I say most, the goal is to get 100% of kids their first choice. Last year, as a benchmark, we got 99% of the kids their first choice. So that's the goal.
Which was amazing.
Yeah, and so if all of a sudden a major becomes popular, I guess it's my job to figure out how to make it happen.
Okay, Lily Meta asks question about graduation. Will there be a limit on the number of tickets for guests at the Barclays Center?
Yep. I think we're at three guests, but that does not include the student themselves.
Okay. Yes, Lourdes Cuesta will be back in just a moment. Lisa Marsh very happily reports that the boys swim team just won the city championship. Just in, so we're thrilled about that. Felix is reminding me in the chat that there was a question on the SAT date in March.
Yeah, what's the question? It's the 20, I should know this. I'm bad today with dates. I feel like it's the 20.
Wait, I think it's the 22nd. Hold on. I will
22nd sounds
verify.
good.
It's a Wednesday.
It's in Tech Talk. It's the 22nd.
See,
Oh,
everybody.
look at that. Look at that. I got that
All
right.
right, there you go. Yeah, the 22nd. It's going to likely be the SAT and PSAT in the morning for juniors and PSAT for sophomores, and then followed by a truncated day of like a half day, where after the exam, students will engage in periods 6 through 10, but at full periods, 41 minutes. And then we'll make up the other side, if this makes sense to you, on parent-teacher conferences, we have a half day. So that half day, it'll be a 1 through 5 schedule. So between the two, we threw in a full day.
Leslie Ann asks, is there a principal list of high grade students like an honor roll list? And if so, where can it be viewed?
Only I can view that. So that's just for me. And so, yes, I could view it anytime. But we don't rank kids. We don't currently do an honor roll. So at graduation, the top 10 GPAs are recognized. I do have a meeting with the top 10 students where I announce who the valedictorian and salutatorian, it's just the 10 kids and me. But that's it. We don't do honor roll or, that kind of stuff. It's surely something we can look into. But currently we do not.
Yang Wang asks, does Ms. Yale still work at the school? My son is interested in joining the volleyball club. Ms. Yale is in charge of the volleyball club. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. She does. So, yeah.
Okay. Wing Kwan says, hi, about the deadline to change numeric grade to CR. I heard principal say month of May. Is there a specific date in May?
No. I said the end of the year, June.
Okay. Sharon asks, do students need to pay for the SAT, PSAT in March? No.
No, that's on me.
And they're all automatically registered.
They're automatically registered, yes. Text.
Rachel asks, Mr. Newman, where do you think we should add our PA funds for resumes, internships, all toward college process, networking skills, etc.?
Sorry, I type like how I think instead of properly.
Just a little lens into your
Is
mind.
that clear? We have
No.
funds for
Yes,
the
it
kids.
sort of- Right. So how can we do all those? I mean, there's a lot of things there that are somewhat connected, somewhat, not. I'd really need to ponder that question on the fly. I don't think I could answer that, but I think me and AP Quested can get together and sort of figure out how best to spend this money for the benefit of our kids, in this regard towards, all of these things are somewhat towards the college process. So let us put our heads together and come up with some good things. I wouldn't want to just like blurt out some things and how much, not knowing how much they cost and whatnot, but let us look into that. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, the parents can help a lot. When my daughter was a freshman, I helped a whole bunch of juniors with their resumes, and the disparity was so broad. I think it's really important, hugely
Yeah.
important.
We do have a writing center where English, it's sort of like AKA like English tutoring, where we do use our Fair Student Funding money to pay teachers to stay after school and do that. There's a lot of essay writing help that they do for college with students. All they have to do is stop in. It happens twice a week after school. And that's
Great.
something that we've surely escalated this year with putting a lot of money towards tutoring across the board, but including our writing center.
Okay, one more question, and then I'd like to pivot back to Ms. Cuesta. Cynthia Yahia asks, don't colleges ask for class rank?
They do. We don't give it. We never have. We
Exactly.
don't do
They
that.
actually ask you if you rank.
Yeah.
So if you
that's-
don't rank, then you don't put it. We could give them, and we do. And especially if it's a scholarship that they're asking for, we give them the percentage in which they fall, and that's usually sufficient.
Jamia Jasper asks, will there be an open house for newly admitted students this March? I think there is one, but it's later in the year, right?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit later. I'm working with the DOE. They actually gave me some like a window of when we could pick. We really just got to get together and decide on a date. But yes, there is going to be one for newly admitted students. It's obviously after the window when the DOE lets us know that they're going to let students know that they got into the school. But yes, there will be an accepted students open house.
Great. Okay, with that, I'd like to resume. Oh, here we go. Lila Meta asks, where can we find the AP exam schedule?
I thought we put that online. If it's not, I'll actually put it on tomorrow. That's already been determined in-house. My teachers have it. I thought it was online, but if not, I'll make sure the webmaster puts it up tomorrow.
Okay. Any last questions for Principal Newman? And then we will. Rachel Daines asks, it would be great to see college acceptances, asking for that list. Do we do anything with that publicly?
We post them and sometimes we don't post them. We're a little mindful about how every single year it shifts a little bit. And so
Right.
I don't want, you know what I mean? Like some of that actually leads to a bit of pressure. And so I'm not always so inclined to share that information just because I don't want kids to get discouraged based on sometimes numbers that are not necessarily as factual for them based on the year in which the applicant pool, they fall in the applicant pool. So.
But Stuyvesant does it, Bronx Science does it. They post it on the wall in the school. I think it's good for the kids.
Actually, so we did do a wonderful decision day.
Yeah.
And so in the decision day, we do a lot of that where they stand there with pennants or whatever. We definitely can do something like that. I just want to be mindful that kids don't, they don't kind of feel bad or so, but we can post the wall of like schools that they get accepted into without like really putting their names. Yeah, that would be wonderful.
And there is usually announcements of students who feel comfortable announcing their choices on Instagram. There's an Instagram account as well.
Yeah, I cannot post a name of a student next to this college that they went to. We can't do that. There's all sorts of privacy rules that have become more and more strict. If a student chooses to be to advertise this on an alumni site or a PA site, that's fine. And even can flow that through the college office. But I can't post that in the school of this kid got into this. I can't do that.
Okay.
Michael asks, how often do teachers get evaluated or observed each semester?
We're getting into the nitty gritty now. It depends on, I thought you guys were done with me. Well, anyway, it's bring me back in. So it depends on the status of the teacher. Not to get into unbelievably detail, untenured teachers need twice as many observations pretty much as tenured teachers. Tenured teachers need a minimum of one per semester. That's an observation with a full write-up and whatnot. I just don't want to get too much into principal speak here, so everybody understands what I'm saying. But untenured are pretty much twice as much. Struggling teachers, if they haven't gotten certain metrics, they'd be twice as much as well. But it does not, those are minimums. And so it does not mean that we can't go in, all the time. I mean, I do, on top of that, I've been doing all this week. My new thing is I do these 3-minute walkthroughs with a short conversation with the teacher afterwards, but not for evaluative purposes. I've done 40 walkthroughs this week, and so 40 teachers, and the goal is before the end of the semester I see everybody. So I mean, and if an AP, an assistant principal, wants to go into see a teacher for a particular reason 10 times, they can. And so there's no maximum on that.
Okay, I'm answering one question here in the chat. Do we have any last minute business for Principal Newman? Because I would like to pick up the thread with Ms. Cuesta. All right. Thanks, David.
No problem. I'm getting out while I can.
All right.
Bye, Mr. Newman. See you tomorrow.
I'll stay around. I'd like to hear what you're talking about. But
okay, thanks very much for that. Ms. Cuesta, huge apologies once again for interrupting.
No worries.
Your terrific presentation. And I know it was disruptive, but I'm sure you can deftly pick up the thread. So
one of the things that I really wanted us to focus on, right, is the partnership, because there are things that you as parents are interested in seeing and having your students participate in. And we're always trying to be very creative. As I had already stated, like I did hear there was an announcement for an essay writing workshop. I'm not sure if that's just for parents, but I know that we do that for students. And so it's always interesting, and it would really be great if you were in on that conversation so that you hear what the messages are. And really, that doesn't come from us. We actually are able to get usually it's 3 college representatives to present. right? Their view. We usually get someone from a private university, a 4-year public university, and then sometimes just, a CTE or something like that, just so that, or an engineering school or something of that nature. And so it's really important that we're messaging the same thing. So that's why I say the partnership. I know that you're doing certain things, and sometimes we're having events and then you guys have an event. So if we can really communicate best so that we're servicing you correctly, because that's really what we want. We want to make sure that what you're interested in, or where you feel that there are gaps or information that, you or your child needs, that we are providing. So I told you about the website and all the information on the website. I explained to you about Naviance. Now, every single one of our information sessions is actually the second part of that information session, regardless of what grade they're in. Actually, our Naviance representative has actually gone in and broken down for everyone how to use certain tools on Naviance, especially for freshmen and sophomores. I think that is wonderful, because then they're ahead of the game, and so that they learn. So I know how important it is for them to get their code so they can start learning how to navigate Naviance. So by the time they're juniors, it's not so foreign to them. You know what? One of the things I wanted to talk about, I know you asked a couple of times about CRs, right? And so I will tell you from a college representative admission representative perspective, that what they have told us, you really should not be CRing a grade unless, right, it really is an anomaly to how your other academic portfolio looks. Because to see a transcript that has only CRs, especially for competitive programs, how is the representative to judge or put this student in a rigorous applicant pool? So we're really trying to make sure that when we see students, like there are students that, I know there's a student that got into UPenn, right? And so this is an example. The student got an 80 in one particular class. The rest of the transcript is, 95 and above, right? Okay. So that would be the actual class that you would put a CR for. But you don't put CRs all over where there are almost no grades. Even if you had 3 or 4 grades and you got a 95, that still says something, because why would you CR that many classes? So I want parents to be very discriminatory with how many CRs you're going to utilize. Because as much as you don't want them to see maybe some of the grade, there are grades that are okay for them to see. And then, because you want them to have some metrics. You want your child, especially if they're applying for a very rigorous program, for them to be able to see something, especially since right now we're dealing with some students. Some schools are test optional. So they're not really having as much information to go on as they did before. Some are test optional, some are test blind. So we want to really think about that when we're going in for the CR. I would probably say if you could, you should, consult that with a counselor. You can reverse it, but really before you even get into that, make sure that you're having that discussion with the counselor so that they're looking at the actual transcript and making, helping you to make that decision based on sometimes the schools that you're interested, that the student is interested in applying for. Are there any specific, it says, okay, so I'm gonna look at the chat myself. It says, okay, is there one credit when CR okay? Yes, absolutely. There are some, it doesn't have to just be one. It could be a handful, but not an entire transcript of that, because we do have students, and I understand, it's not that we don't understand, what students were going through, during COVID. If we're adults and we were having a hard time, I can only imagine being a teenager and having this kind of difficult time of being inside and just your whole world being turned upside down. But at the same time, you want to make sure that if this is what you're going for, right, that you're able to show them something. So it says when colleges assure students that CR won't negatively impact the chances, are they being, no, they're not being disingenuous. But it's like I said, right? You have to make sure that you're being very mindful about which classes you're actually CR and what are the reasons for that. Okay, says, do we know the average GPA at Tech? Is it 90 like the Uptown similar school? Are we with what Uptown school? What Uptown school are we talking about?
Bronx Science. That's what we were told.
Okay. So
do we have an average GPA that you share with us or not?
So there's no really such thing as a general GPA because we have so many students, right? Like if I had to do the mean, I mean, we have, they run the gamut. We have kids that have like 105.
Yeah.
I had a student myself. Yes, last year I had, well, four years ago, and they graduated this past year. I had 15 students, right? And so one of them, she had 105 average. So we have that. So we don't have an average per se GPA, because that means that we would have to just tally all of them and then do the mean, and it would not fall. We have a lot of students that have 90s, somewhere in the 90s, but we have quite a few students that have like 100 plus. Okay, it says, and the only thing that affects them there is what you had asked before, where Mr. Newman explained that we don't rank, but when the students are asked for a percentage, right, that's where it would affect it. Obviously, if we have a lot of 105s, 104s or whatever, then that makes you fall a little bit lower, even if you have like a 99. So that's kind of the difference. So let's see. Okay. Could you CR a class at any time before the end of, yes. It says, can you CR a freshman class during your junior year? Yes. Says, what numerical grade would you recommend a CR? I would probably say, look at your other grades and see how they fall comparable, right? So if you have a lot of 90s, whether it be 90 and above, and all of a sudden you get an 80, you get a 70 something, that would be the class to CR. Something very low, especially in a class that is going to be looked on heavily. Although if you CR, obviously that will not impact your grade point average. And that's the other reason to do it. It says for juniors, when do grades show up in Naviance? Oh, okay. So the grades will show up now when we get back from vacation. We were waiting for the term to start, and we were waiting for all the grades to be in before we put them up. And then once the students take the SATs in March, we will also, and we get the scores, we will also batch upload them, and then you'll see not only their grades, but you'll also see their SAT scores. But I do want to say that the other thing that I am trying to have happen here is offering the ACTs, because one of the problems is that a lot of our students do very well in the ACTs, but they're not offered in the city as much. And so Mr. Newman knows that I like to give students options, because we want to make sure that, they have as many choices as possible. And since a lot of students do better in the ACTs rather than the SATs, I would like to have them offer that on a larger scale in this school. So let's see what happens with that. Okay. I see that there's a lot of wait. Okay. When are transcripts available? When the new term begins, but usually we have to wait about a week, I want to say, because sometimes there are some changes before we actually upload all the transcripts. But after the term ends and the other term begins, usually transcripts are available. Will there be any in-person college? Oh, there will be. Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Dun, 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 dun. Our college fair is in person this year. It's gonna be April 25th. And I'm very excited too. This is gonna be great. So far, we have about 85 schools already locked and loaded, as they say. Okay, it says, will students know the percentage they fall in? No, we don't advertise that unless they ask for it. And like I said, we only give that to them if they're applying for something in particular, a scholarship, or the school will ask for that because they're applying for a special program. We can provide that for them. It says, do colleges look at transcripts starting with the first? Yes, they look at the entire transcript. And when they're juniors, since they start to apply with really their junior grades, it's everything from being a freshman to being a junior. Says, okay, when do juniors get Naviance accounts? Do parents get login as well? Yes. If you have not done that, then please put your name or something to me in the chat. And I will make sure that you do get that access. You should have the access. ACT would be good. Yeah, possibly. Yes, I'm trying to do it this year. Yes, I've met with the ACT representative quite a few times. And so I'm trying to solidify a date for him to come in and let's see what we can do. Mr. Newman already knows about that. I believe his eldest daughter took it as well. Because in Long Island, that's a little bit of a standard situation. Okay, my son was marked absent on January 31st. Oh, yes. So on the website, it actually gives you the email that I believe, wait, so it's attendance office at bths.edu, and just email and say I was marked absent by mistake, and then a secretary that works with me, she will look on the email. She has access to the email. She'll look it up and then just correct the attendance. It says the link to Naviance posted under does not work. There is, okay, so we will fix that. Thank you for letting me know. What if there is improvement? Oh, if we do not see our lower grade, then next year the student's grade improves. Will colleges, because yes, absolutely. That's one of those things that they talk about. They talk about the progression, right? So that sometimes it's important for them to see, you know what, the student was struggling, and you can speak to that. A lot of it is a lot of residual COVID, right? Because a lot of these students were in COVID in junior high school for a long time, right? And then they had to come back to high school, or they did junior high school and high school in some type of COVID month. And so they know that if that's what the student was going through, and then all of a sudden they see the improvement, the progression of improvement, that's a fantastic thing. That's what they want to see. Can all grades go to the college fair? Yes. I mean, normally we advertise it to juniors, but we also, everyone's welcome. You could never start that process too early, but what I will say, parents, which is a little bit of what I know Mr. Newman's mantra is that what I don't want you to do is the pressure. Kids need to really see where they fit, right? What's going to be comfortable for them in that college process. You can do some conversation, but remember, they're the ones that are going to be going to college. So let's have conversations about what's the best fit for you. What has the best program for you? What are you ready for? Things of that nature. Does it have like the clubs or sports or things that you want? Not what you want, but what they want, right? We can do a little bit of a marriage of both, but more what they want than what you want. Are freshman students allowed to attend? Yes. We don't stop anybody. We would never stop anybody. Like I said, you can't start too early. I need a Naviance account. Okay, so I'm going to put my email in the chat, and then you're going to email me, because that way I know to make sure that tomorrow we get you the Naviance account. And my apologies for you not having it in the first place. I don't really know kind of what happened. It says, okay, so for underclassmen, how will the transcripts be provided? Only 11th grade. Oh, so I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, the counselors are pushing into the freshman, the academic counselors are pushing into the freshman advisories. And so I believe that they're going over a transcript review. I will verify that. And if you email me, I'll make sure to find out one way or the other, whether that's actually happening, that they're getting a copy of their transcript. If not, I know that, I could probably ensure that they are then provided in advisory. Oh, and for sophomores in, advisory, the only issue with the sophomores is that sophomore advisory is now only one term. So then I would have to see how I can provide it for them for the next term. I mean, for the ones that already had it last term. When is the college fair again? It's going to be April 25th. And yes, of course, parents are allowed to attend. Yeah, we're expecting you to attend. Okay, are there any other questions? Is there anything that, anybody wanted me to talk about?
Hi, I'm sorry. I had put a question up in the chat, but I think it got lost.
Sorry.
It's
Yeah.
about Naviance. I don't know if you saw it. I can say it out loud.
But can you say it?
Yes. So during the junior college presentation, the Naviance rep highlighted an awesome tool called Compare Me, which it kind of tells you where you are in terms of grades and other things. And it says, well, it compares you to other tech students. But someone told me that that feature counts all the kids that ever put that particular college on their list. No? It's
No,
only
it only talks about the year prior.
but it's but sorry, is it all the kids that had that college on their list, or is it the ones that actually applied?
No, the ones that actually applied.
Got it. Thank you so much for the clarification.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Any other questions
There are a couple in the
in the chat? Okay, let's see. Okay. Where would you like some PA funds directed for kids development? So, again, okay, so we started to implement this one book. It's called The Miracle Morning.
Right.
And so actually the advisors, have had 2 different sessions of professional development towards implementing this book. Now, the good thing about the program is that it talks about that. It's a lot of emotional development, but it also has a lot of habits that I know you've heard about the most, or the more highly effective people, in which you wake up, and you read, you exercise, you have affirmations, you journal. And so this is a practice that I want our students to get into, because one of the things for obviously tech students is that they're very cerebral, they're very academic, right? But there's not a lot. Sometimes that's what they concentrate on, and they don't concentrate on that, getting to know who you are, getting to know what you like, that other aspect that is equally as important. And so this is one of the things that I really want to implement in the freshman and sophomore advisories, so that it's a tool and habits that they carry on throughout, right? They're not only obviously their high school careers, but forever, because the more intentional one is about your day, right? You wake up early, you're doing all these things, the more productive one is. And so, 20 days, it becomes a habit, and then it becomes a lifestyle. And basically that's really what I want for them. So when you ask me what I would want for development, it's a lot of that. It's that, that kind of mindfulness. I want them to be healthy, productive, not this anxious producing, not thinking that you're competing with others. You're really competing with yourself. You're competing to ensure that you're a better you today than you were yesterday. And so these are the kind of things that I would like them, the skills that I would like them to leave with, so that they feel like they can handle, adversity, because we all have that at some point. But in monetary, I will sit down with Mr. Newman. I'll figure it out. I definitely figure it out because I do like, you know, to help them to develop themselves holistically. If your child was in school for most of the entire, but left the last period due to something that happened, I don't know, what does it say? During, does the child, no. So you're not marked absent if you were present for the day. Now, what ends up happening really is that when you have a third or fourth period as the official, what will happen is that you will be marked absent, but again, you email and then they will reverse your attendance. Although we are getting into practices of pulling certain reports to maybe see that preemptively, so we don't have to wait for someone to let us know. Let me see. It says, I believe freshmen will get access. Yes. Yeah, you will. Can you tell us around? Yes, when we get back from vacation. For sophomore logging on, the username, you're going to get an email about the Naviance for freshmen and sophomores. I heard the SAT will be electronic in 2 years. We don't want to think about that because we need the bandwidth, and I don't know what Mr. Newman is going to do about that, but we have too many kids. We're not a small school. We have way too many kids. I'm not sure how they're all getting on a computer to do an exam at the same time. So it says, where would you like, okay. How many times can a junior and then senior meet with them? As many times as they need. There is no cap. And what I would ask you, parents, to be honest with you, this is another thing. I know some parents can afford to get a consultant. And, you know, I guess everybody has to make money, so I'm not against that per se. But I really believe that we need to communicate regardless of whether or not you have a consultant, because we need to be on the same page. There's a lot of the kind of manual work and a lot of the work in which how tech students are viewed by representatives or by certain schools. We know that better than the consultant. What I never want people to do is waste or spend money and then end up with no choices. And unfortunately, that has happened more often than I would like to say, but it does happen where people do. And then all of a sudden now we're running around, which, you know, not that we mind doing that, but I never want to deal with a child and a parent that are in the state of panic because they went this route. They never saw the college office for anything. And then all of a sudden now they have no choices.
I just wanted to go back up in the chat because you may have already answered this question, but I just want to make sure. Jay Campos asks, can you speak about scholarship availability?
You know what I was going to say? I was going to read that one and now. So we have a multitude of scholarships. Now on the website, right, we have scholarships that are school specific. And then we have scholarships that are in general that can be utilized for any school in particular. There are so many scholarships that are either, I mean, obviously we have, you know, the merit, but then there are scholarships that are need-based. There's so many, and the scholarship office has 2 scholarship coordinators in which are divided by, you know, the particular prefects, and they have a session with the scholarship coordinator and basically go and speak about sometimes the list, what they're interested in, what they believe, you know, their parents can or cannot, you know, pay. And so there are a multitude of scholarships that may pertain to them. So it's important for them to seek that out. We also have, you know, virtual sessions that we talk about scholarships, and we actually show how to navigate Naviance to assist you in that. I believe that there, I don't know if it's on the website, but Mr. Newman and I actually took a picture with a young lady that was awarded $40,000 from the College Board based on just applying. And so I actually had my sophomore advisory sign up, because then as of the spring term, as of the fall term, the sophomore students were also eligible to apply, and you're allowed to continue to apply. There are small scholarships and then there are large scholarships.
Pamela Ryan had asked you, again, you may have already answered this, but How many times can a junior and then fall senior meet with their college counselor?
As many times, yes, I did, as many times as they need to.
Got it.
There are students that only need to meet once and then once. And then there are students that really have a lot of, laundry load of questions and, and they're concerned, or, they see different opportunities. And so they basically, they need to see the counselor many times than they can. We don't cap that.
Okay. Lily Meta asks, has an email been sent about AP fees for the May APs?
You know what? I think they did. I think it has, to be honest with you. Yeah, because in order for us to be able to order it, I believe we have to know who's going to take it. I could be wrong, but again, you can email me and I'll find out tomorrow.
Sure. Okay, that's where we are in the chat. Does anyone have any last minute questions for Ms. Cuesta, who has been both heroic in her coverage of these issues and also unbelievably patient?
That's what we do, no worries.
No, we really, really, really are grateful. And again, I'm sorry about the interruption, but thank you. Thank
No,
you.
you're welcome. And listen, it's my pleasure. Anytime, please email me and we will do an exchange. Again, like I said, sometimes we do things based on what we believe, are the trends or what, but then there are certain concerns that you see in your own household and that it's happening in others. And we can surely, tailor any virtual info sessions to address those needs, okay?
Great. One question from Tiffany Roberts, who's one of our freshman reps and herself a Tech alum. How does Tech define rigor for college?
So rigor for college, that's not something we need to worry about because almost all our courses are very specialized. And so already that's the way they view it. We really don't have to worry about rigor. That's out of your hands, not something for you to worry about.
Yep.
What I will say is, what I do say to my students is, do not take APs to take APs. Do not overload yourself when they don't make sense, right? If there's something that, even if it's too opposing, but you're interested in them and you can speak to that, that's great. But don't take, AP calculus and then take, AP psychology, but you're not interested in AP psychology. It just doesn't make sense to take two different things that you're not really passionate about, because this is something that they will ask you.
Right.
We often tell them to, for particular schools, to do interviews. And these are things, because they don't want to go over your transcript. They want to know about you, but they'll also pick up certain things that seem like they, it's like, oh, this person, why is this kid taking 5 APs for no reason? And they know the makeup of the school. They know that it doesn't fall within their major. So they're like, well, why would the student do that? Do you understand? And if a kid can't speak to that, that doesn't look good. That just means that you're just aimlessly doing things.
Quantity of APs does not equal rigor.
Quality. There you go. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Also, I'm going to put my email in the chat before I leave again.
Great. We really are really grateful to you for your time and patience again. Thanks so much, Ms. Cuesta.
No worries. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. We're coming up on 7:40 and I wanted to check in with Mia if she has any business or if anyone else would like some new business before we adjourn.
No, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, Hamilton. Thank you, everyone.
Mia, I'll see you tomorrow at the Zoom. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any other business from anybody, or are we ready to adjourn? Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn? I motion to move to adjourn and second. Okay. Next week, everybody have a great break. Enjoy the kids sleeping in, or if you're going away, have a great trip and safe travels. And we will be seeing you soon, and check your email for Tech Talk. Okay, good night.
Have a good night. See you next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.